Princess Anne paid a surprise visit to New York City, which included a ride on one of the city's more unusual modes of public transportation. Before we continue, please subscribe to stay updated with the latest information about the royal family. The New York City Department of Transportation shared a photo on Twitter on Tuesday of Anne, 72, aboard the Staten Island Ferry, which transports commuters and passengers for free between Lower Manhattan and the borough of Staten Island at all hours of the day. We were pleased to welcome Her Royal Highness Princess Anne to the #Staten Island Ferry today, the Department of Transportation tweeted alongside a photo of Princess Anne looking out over New York Harbor. On Monday, Queen Elizabeth's only daughter arrived in New York on a flight from London to John F. Kennedy International Airport and spoke at a gala dinner for the English-speaking Union of the United States. According to the Staten Island Advance, she went to the National Lighthouse Museum the next day in St. George, Staten Island. According to the Advance, Princess Anne was named honorary chair for the museum's Illuminating Future Generations campaign, a fundraising effort launched in January to raise funds for the preservation and expansion of its gallery space. The Princess Royale, described by the Advance as one of the great champions in the international lighthouse community, took a tour of the museum with curator Amanda Nessie and unveiled a miniature figurine of Needles Lighthouse on the United Kingdom's Isle of Wight, in memory of her parents, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, before returning to Manhattan. I think lighthouses have been a particularly good way of educating people about the importance of maritime in all its forms. Anne, whose husband Timothy Lawrence was a commander in the Royal Navy while she wore the Royal Navy ceremonial outfit for her mother's funeral last month, told an audience at a luncheon put on by the museum in Battery Park on Tuesday, according to the Advance. It's not just about trade, it's about the impact of what we do to the sea, how we can better care for it, and how it affects our lives. The lighthouse still plays an important role, Princess Anne added. The story of lighthouses and how we got here is equally important, and the museum has made an incredible impact in telling that story. What you do requires breadth in order to tell more of that story. The museum first contacted Anne to see if she would be interested in visiting in 2019, but the COVID-19 pandemic forced the visit to be rescheduled twice, according to the Advance. Princess Anne's visit to Staten Island came nearly 65 years after Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip toured the borough on October 21, 1957, during a trip to the United States. According to a palace source, Princess Anne's trip to New York was planned before Queen Elizabeth died. Anne's brother, King Charles, agreed to let her go ahead with the trip as planned. Princess Anne's trip to the United States marks a wider return to royal duties among members of the family, following Queen Elizabeth's mourning period, which ended a week after the monarch's funeral on September 19. The Princess Royale was present at her mother's death on September 8 at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. I was fortunate enough to share the last 24 hours of my dearest mother's life, Anne said in a statement released on September 14 by Buckingham Palace. It has been a privilege and an honor to accompany her on her final journeys.